I just played every intro that I have. So welcome everybody. It is it's not Aaron Live, it's actually AD 2026. This is the return to the good old days where David Williams and I would just get together for an hour and a half and draw and chat. And that's what we're doing again today. Let me bring in David because I can't do it alone. Welcome, sir. There he is. There he is. All right.
Hey, Aaron, you want to see something?
I know what you're going to show me, and I really don't want to see it, but I guess go ahead and show it to me. I would be more impressed if you made those from scratch, but I'm get this feeling you didn't.
Heck no.
Well, you want to see what I'm eating?
Yeah.
This is some chicken broth. For those of you just joining us, I'm on a liquid diet today because I have a medical procedure tomorrow. You guys might be familiar with it, at least the older gentleman in the audience might be. So anyway, I'll try not to be too grumpy today as I continue to drink my meals. David's just reveling in it.
Sorry.
Well, you got to do what you got to do. Crazy Cat 9 says you were smart in getting Dan Lawless on this book. He shows up on all the late night CG streams at ungodly hours and promotes the book. I know. I don't know. Apparently, he doesn't sleep, but that's fine. That's what I told him. I said, Dan, you go on all the shows that I don't want to go on and promote the heck out of Barbaric Adventures, and he's been doing it. So anyway, I want to thank Creative Faye. I posted on X today that we were $1 away from 25K, and I said someone coming in back and get us over, and she contributed $1 to the campaign to get us to 25K. So thank you for that, Creative Faye. I also know that you backed it as well, so I appreciate you throwing in that extra buck. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to draw. I'm going to work on an actual page from my Barbaric Adventures story called Primal Zone. I showed it yesterday for the first time on my Comics, Cryptids, and Cannonball show on Sunday afternoon. And now I'm going to show you again, and I'm going to ink wash it now. I don't know what David's got up his sleeve other than eating hot dog stuffed croissants, but okay. Look at that. See, they say Dan takes a beating on those shows, but gets through it by playing dumb.
Wait, he's playing?
He's playing. we can't give it to Dan Tubax. He's not here. We'll wait till Graybeard's on Wednesday to have it. But all right, I'm going to switch my camera over and reveal what's on that table right there. So, David, I don't think you've seen this yet, have you?
I don't know. You got to show me so I can say.
Okay.
Whoa.
I feel this may very well be the best page I have ever drawn in my life.
Wow.
At 62 years old.
I still got it.
That's right. He still got it. So anyway, so that's what you're getting. That's just one of multiple stories you'll be getting in this book. So you definitely, guys, want to back Barbaric Adventures. I'm going to run the campaign a little bit later once we get a few more people strolling in here. But now I'm going to do what most people really want to see me do, and that's erase pencil off of this. So I haven't done that yet before I lay down any ink wash.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there any whiteout on there?
There's one spot right there. There's one spot right there. That's it.
So that's a no.
You have to work around that because the ink wash isn't going to like that too much. But they're two tiny little spots, so I'm going to. I figured it'd be okay. I'd be able to work around it. One thing I learned while working in commercial art for several years before I broke into comics was how to fix stuff and drawings and such and make it look okay. So I'm not too worried. I'll make it work.
No. So that's what you're going to do through this whole show, just erase?
No. I hope to be done erasing in about a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to get to the ink wash.
Oh, okay.
You're just eating hot dogs, so I mean, that at least I'm being productive.
I'm just giving you a head start.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm actually thinking of what to draw, and I was thinking of drawing Bozak. Boldak. Is it Boldak? I'm drawing Dan's character.
There you go. I was going to say, why aren't you drawing your character?
I don't think he has enough information to.
Okay. I'll buy that. I put some forearm hair on here like Frazetta would always do, but it doesn't really show that well. So I'm gonna lay that down again with a brush rather than a pen this time and see if it shows up.
So when you do your ink wash, I know the answer, but for the sake of the chat, do you run into smudging at any point?
I haven't yet. As long as I don't run my, which I'm notorious for doing, is run my hand over wet ink. But I have not yet had a problem with it because the thing is, because it's so watered down, it doesn't sit like, you get if you're laying in a black area with ink, it can pool in certain areas and just kind of sit there.
Yeah.
And not dry completely, and then your hand rubs against it and you're like, oh crap. This tends to sink right into the paper immediately, this watered down stuff, and it's still damp, but it's not, there's no ink pile up there to smudge.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, after I say that, of course, I'll probably just have a complete disaster happen. But I don't think so. I think it's going to be it's going to be all right. But no, I haven't had any trouble with it yet. This I hate doing this.
Yeah, I think most artists, inkers, and what they hate it.
It's like you feel like you finished, you get the piece done, you go, okay, it's done. Then you realize, okay, well, no, now I'm not done. Now I have to clean it up.
And to create a fey, yes. Yes to the first part of your question. My other question for you is, have you ever used liquid frisket for your artwork?
Not since the good old days of commercial art. I had a kind of my mentor in the commercial art studio I worked in used it all the time when he was doing watercolor, all the time. And I don't have any, and I feel like I would be too lazy to use it unless it was like, if I figured out where it was and I put it right before I started and it was sitting right there within reach. Because I know it can be pretty handy. I just have never used it though.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would generally use it for special effects, like certain types of splatter where I didn't want to go back in and put white out. But I would ruin like toothbrushes on that thing because it would gunk up and it would never come out.
You're talking about the liquid frisket?
Yeah, if you put it on a toothbrush.
Why are you putting it on a toothbrush?
Like if you have to do splatter effect and you're trying to create a special effect in the black.
Oh, I see what you're doing. So you lay that down first before
and
then you put your black over it.
Yep.
Okay. See, I did the old fashioned ways. Of course, when you splatter with white on a toothbrush, it gets all over everything.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily where you want it to be. So, I mean, I get that. I guess that makes sense. I've never even thought to do that.
You're all, now I got to go get some just to try it.
Exactly. Because I don't know if I'll be splattering in this or not. I've got, our hero here is like basically slicing this guy with a knife. So I guess I should have a blood trail in there, but I'm not
G-rated.
Well, I'm not going to put it in there until after I'm done ink washing because it's going to be black, obviously. So I had some in there, but then when I put in the blacks in the background, I just like covered it up. So I'm like, there's just going to have to be some combination of white out and black ink to create that. Iodine 74 says, good Lord, I thought he said liquid brisket, like some type of barbecue ingredient. Everybody's saying Balzac.
You don't have to read those.
Well, once I see them, I do. Okay, let's see. Where am I going to start here? I've already got I still got ink wash.
Your boy Zach.
That's what he gets for calling me pedestrian. I'll tell you that. This ain't pedestrian art right here, folks.
He was far worse than me, so.
Well, he clearly has no idea what he's talking about. He's dissing on you. Okay.
But he likes boy Zach.
Guess so. I sometimes think the internet was the worst creation in the history of mankind. I mean, it's really great for advertising and reaching people easily, but boy, the other crap that goes with it is not that great. I think I'm going to, wait a minute. I'm going to be, okay. I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. So I guess I should scoot this page down so people can actually see what I'm doing.
I forgot to share this on X.
What, that we're going live?
Yeah.
Well, it should be broadcasting on X right now. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the guys, the figures first, and then that'll tell me how dark I need to go in the background.
Yeah.
So we'll just we'll get into these cavemen here. I'll avoid that whiteout as long as I can. So we've had a pretty decent run on getting some more backers into this campaign the last couple of days, and I appreciate that. All you guys that have, of course, all you guys that backed right away, but also you guys that have come in, because
we appreciate every single one of you.
Yep. So we'll be on Wednesday. It'll be 2 weeks. The campaign will have been live 2 weeks. So,
man, where's time going?
I know, it's freaking unbelievable.
Wait, go large on yours because I want to see what you're doing. Is your camera crooked?
A little bit.
There we go.
I'm trying to get more of the page in by turning it.
Oh, that's good. It was just slanted weird. Now, you inked it so well, and it, you made a proclamation to me yesterday. Are you scared to do what you're doing right now?
No, because I think that because I look at this ink wash, it's not really covering anything up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's, even if I, don't do a brilliant job on it, it's still not covering up the line work. It's just kind of, I was actually excited to kind of take this to the next level and get some more depth in it by ink washing it. So, and I've sort of accepted the fact going in, because I was on the first page with my lead character, or one of my lead characters, Celia, the girl, that big shot of her, standing there on that page. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, I don't want to mess this up. I really like how it looks. But after I got done ink washing, I was like, I really like this. It's now even better. So yeah, I'm not worried about it at all, to be honest with you. I was when I first started doing this, because I hadn't done it before, but now I kind of got a pretty decent feel for it.
Now, the amount of hours on this in comparison to a normal size page, how many more extra hours are you spending on this?
It's hard to say, because the border, I spent a lot of time just doing the border before I even started working on the page. But I think I got like 3 days total into this.
Wow.
But see, I really enjoy drawing big.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to draw small.
Same here.
And I feel like I spend more time erasing when I draw small, because you're trying to get like just one little tiny line just correct.
Yeah.
And but this, it's a little bit bolder,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it isn't in the sense that, like, it's not like Kirby bold. There's, a lot of detail here, but it's not, if this was like half the size or whatever, this would have been a freaking nightmare for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know that I mean, yeah, I'm taking more time on it than I normally would on something because just the nature of this project. And plus it's, for me, a 24-page story is short compared to what I've been doing the last several years.
Sure.
With my books. So I'm taking a little bit more time. But I'm also trying to I'm not trying to like emulate Frazetta in the sense I'm trying to copy Frazetta, but I'm trying to create that Frazetta vibe.
Yeah.
Where I'm spending a little more time in the drawing to kind of get that out of it.
Yeah. No, we definitely could see that. It's the vibe. We're not seeing like, oh man, he's completely aping Frazetta. No, you got the vibe going on.
And I think that's the right way to do it, because it's like if it doesn't matter who it is. If there's an artist that you really like and you get so caught up in that artist that you start basically copying what they're doing and becoming a second-rate version of them, everybody can see that.
Yep.
But if you do something that's clearly influenced by that artist because you're trying to create, like, or like said, for lack of a better word, like a vibe, then kind of people appreciate that you're paying homage to, the person rather than just trying to swipe from them.
Yeah.
Because I think, there's guys out there that are, we all know who they are, that, are basically swiping Frazetta's style. And it's like, it just feels like, you look at it first and go, oh, that's kind of cool because it looks like Frazetta. But then you start to realize it's just a cheap version.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you got to have your own voice in there someplace. And I think the subject matter is completely apropos to doing that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just crazy how much stuff you got in there, but it still reads. There's so many other artists that would do this and it wouldn't read because they put a whole bunch of information, but it reads like super clear. It's really good.
Thank you. Well, I think part of that is, the black placement on this, which is, more bold than I normally do, which I want to get into doing more of that type of thing, but that helps. And also there's a lot of detail in the background, but it's not overly done, as ridiculous as that may sound.
Yeah.
There's a lot of white spaces on these rocks.
Yeah.
And I think that helps this.
Yeah.
But I also designed it to trying to make it read better because I knew it was going to be complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And too many guys get caught up in just, rendering the crap out of everything. And then everything becomes this one big mess of rendering.
Yeah.
Which, people seem to like because those are generally the more popular artists. But doesn't necessarily serve the art or the story all that well.
I mean, I think art a lot of times is like music or rock and roll and all that kind of stuff. It's like you'll have like a guitarist who will just shred and put everything in there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then you'll have an artist, it's about what he plays, not how much he plays.
Yes, and how he plays it, right?
Exactly. And that's the discernment of, to me, a genius, where he goes, you know what? I don't have to do half of the notes that this person did, but I could convey. It's like, remember the Warner Brothers cartoon where Daffy Duck was going up against Bugs Bunny and Daffy was tapping his ass off, he was just going off. And then Bugs just came out and did like a simple, you know, two-step kind of tap, and people went crazy like, ah! Daffy was out of breath, and he's just like got crickets, you know. I mean, but that's how art tends to go, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the older you get or the more experienced you get, I think you start to get away from this notion that, that rendering is the end all.
Yeah.
And you start focusing more on layout and design and leading the eye and getting people to look at what you want them to look at, which of course Frazetta was a master of.
Yep.
Especially in his paintings, it were just like, he would have like, somebody's leg or whatever would just turn to mud down at the bottom, and you're like, you don't even care because that's not what you're looking at.
Yeah. How many people are watching right now?
84 right now.
Oh, okay. Are there people on X watching?
Yep.
Okay. Good.
We are, as of right now, we're actually split. We got about 44 on YouTube and 41 on X. So how about that?
Okay. Cool. Good.
So again, we appreciate you guys coming in and watching us do this. And when I say us, we're still waiting for David to get fired up. But
oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
Oh, I got to show you this. Hold on. Look at what I found.
Was that what you were looking for a couple days ago?
And it was on the side of my art table near my comic book boxes. So it was kind of nudged in between some comic book boxes. And I was like, oh, no wonder I couldn't find it. I thought I had to go buy another one. What is it? 50 cents? 25 cents? Something like that. Oh, well.
Hey.
Huh.
You know how many times I've like rebought stuff that I had just because I couldn't find it?
Oh, yeah.
You're just like, it's only $5. But you do that like 10 times and suddenly you've spent $50 on, and you've got all of them are stashed someplace.
Yeah.
Trying to find Scotch tape. I'll buy boxes of Scotch tape and within days I can't find any of it, or pens. I'll buy big packages of pens.
Yeah.
And they're gone, I can't tell you how often I go in and buy Sharpies, and then you're looking and I go, why can't I freaking find a Sharpie?
Oh, I did that. I went and bought I got to get a couple handfuls of these Sharpies because I didn't think I had some. And then I looked in this old plastic art box that I had. I had some that weren't even opened. And I'm like, what am I doing?
Are you freaking kidding me? It just absolutely drives me nuts because you get impatient, right? And when you have a really big and or messy studio, which I have both, it's like the thought of searching for something when you don't even know where to start is like, I just would rather go buy a new one.
Yeah. Okay. So that thing on Baldac's helmet, that ring goes backwards. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's how they address it in Mars in the future.
Yeah. So I'm grabbing all the reference I could on this character. I think he did a couple extras that are on his actual X page.
Oh,
yeah. So maybe I should go there to see.
If I'd known how long this was going to take. Dude.
Wait a minute. Is I could have. Okay, here we go. Ah,
I think by the time I get done with my story, it'll probably be about the point where I'm just like, I can't do this anymore.
yeah.
Because to me, my feeling about this right now is that every page is more like a work of art or illustration than it is just another page in the story.
Mm,
That's kind of how I'm approaching this project. So I know that it's going to be mentally fatiguing to get through the whole story with that kind of a approach and attitude. But I am like, I'm so excited to be doing this that it's really, I mean, I'm only 3 pages in, but it's really uh, energizing me to work on this, even though I know it's going to be really complex. But it's like it's so much fun because it's just this gets me back to my roots, stuff I always wanted to do and have never really done in comics. I did a little bit of it in Planet Hulk because he was kind of it was kind of a Spartacus story, so it was had kind of a barbarian type element to it. But it was so labor intensive, and because there was so many soldiers and things like that. Um, but at the same time, you're like you couldn't really complain because it was so cool.
yeah.
And the only thing that was troublesome was the deadline, right? And I don't know that I've ever put that much work into something and got it done on time. Um, but I guess you get into a mode and you just go for it. And then back then when I was, I don't know, a few years younger, I would work like, I mean, I work a lot of hours now, but then it was just like, do I have to work all night? Well, I guess I do. I've gotten to a point where it's like, and I don't think this is healthy, but I've gotten to a point where it's like I don't do anything except we go down and see the grandkids like once a week usually. Um, but then other than that, it's like I'm freaking working. I don't go and do stuff. I had one of my best friends lives like a mile from me, and we've been like best friends since junior high. He's a teacher, and he's like, "Hey, I got spring break next week. Give me a call, and we can do something." I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. I ended up calling him like on Saturday at the end of spring break. I'm like, dude, I launched a campaign. I just didn't have time. And, you sit there and I think, oh, I should call him up and we should, go catch a movie or something. And I'm like, what if I stay home? I can work on this page. I have developed this sort of, if I'm not working, I feel like I'm wasting time, which I don't know if that's a very healthy way to look at life.
I'm actually the opposite of you. Somebody distract me from my work. I'm like, yeah, I could go to the graveyard with you. I don't know.
Yeah, let's go to the graveyard. That'll be fun.
Let's just kick it. Yeah, sure.
Remember, that used to be the thing back like when you're on like a schedule for like Marvel or DC or whatever, and you've got to do something. Then it's like, oh, hey, the dishes need to be done. I should probably get down there and work on those dishes.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to keep from actually doing what you were supposed to do. But for me, it was always the inevitability of bills every month that kept me at the drawing board.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime, you get reminded of it, you're like, damn, all right.
I better get to work. No more screwing around the graveyard. I don't think the guys back in the day when they were working on Savage Sword or Savage Tales put as much time into this ink washing as I'm doing right here. I think they just like blew through it. Like can you imagine Rudy never? I mean, he would just be like, bam, 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 done. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, they had no compunctions about, okay, here, another piece, another piece, another. You're like, dang, could not keep up.
Well, the thing is, if you can work that fast but still like kick butt, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
There's very few guys that can do that. But I guess, of course, we always talk about it. Back in the day, page rates sucked, so it was like you had to get a bunch of stuff to make a living.
Yeah. I mean, Alex Nino is still, he just posted some color stuff recently. I'm like, damn, man.
In his 80s. Still kicking it.
What did I say last night? He said, I want to be taken out when I'm like on top, still.
Yeah. Like, let me finish this last great job, and then God you can take me after I get that.
Yeah. That's what Alex is doing. He's all, you're gonna see me striving.
Right. I'm gonna die at the drawing table doing my best work. But the thing with me though, as I kind of look back on it, is I spent, when we had our kids were young, I spent a lot of times during the day was spent, I would do recess duty or because the kids were in private school most of the time, and so I do recess duty and go on field trips and things like that. It was like after dinner when everybody's crashing went to bed, that's when I would start working.
Yeah.
And it's like now I don't, I still have to, I got to take care of Shelly a little bit. I have to take care of my mom a lot, but it's nowhere near the, in driving the kids everywhere they had to go, to basketball practice or dance or whatever. And I don't have any of that now. And so I actually can like work.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've never really looked at. I mean, it depends on the job. I mean, sometimes you get really crappy jobs, assignments, and it is work. But I don't really look at a lot of this as work. Look at it as, I don't know, it's fun or it's a personal achievement or things like that kind of keep me motivated. And plus, you forget how old you are, and you start seeing these guys, still, doing well on a book like, that new Batman book. And they're getting royalties, and you're like, oh man, I got to get myself in a position where I can make that kind of money. You go, wait a minute, I'm almost at retirement age. I'm never get in that position.
Yeah.
I think the thing I was most worried about, though, and still am, I guess, is what my peers think of my work. You don't want to be the guy that they're like, they say, hey, that looks great. And then they're talking behind your back going, oof, guy.
Man, you're going to make me say something off color. I don't give up what anybody in the industry thinks about my art.
Well, how else do you judge the quality of it?
I used to care, I know when it's good enough.
Well, that's true. We're at a point now that you can recognize if you it's great. And boy, this is really good.
I mean, I'm a snob enough about just comics in general. So I judge myself enough. I don't need an outside person to, go in extra. It's like I still do have some like professional friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show them something, and the things in print And he said, "Oh man, you should fix that shot." I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's already out."
Yeah, fixing that. Well, I mean, that's the dumb thing is you can get caught up on little, and a lot of times other artists do, and it's just counterproductive to sit there and go, that you could that hand isn't working for me. You're like, dude, how many times did Kirby draw a hand that wasn't working for you? You know what I mean? It's like it's the overall, there's never going to be anything perfect.
Yeah.
That we're going to draw. Someone's going to go, yeah, I don't like the way that finger turned out or whatever. And it's just like, to me, that's pointless criticism.
I'll give you an example of, I was doing like a Batman cover, and it was like, oh, we need this like tomorrow, pencil and inked, and he said, oh, if you do this, we'll give you another one. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I turn it in. It's already colored. They already solicited for it. It just wasn't out yet.
Yeah.
And I go and talk to this friend, and he goes, I don't get like, oh man, that's cool. He immediately sends back like a correction thing in Photoshop. He said, oh, this, and here's the circles, and I was like, dude, what? It's like either you like it or you don't. And I'm like, why are you art correcting this thing? It's out of my hands now. I've moved on. I haven't talked to you in like, 6 months or something. We're just connecting back, and you wanted to see some art, and I showed you that. Like, is there some kind of contest that we're having to one up each other somehow? I'm like, this is crazy.
I only, and I even am pretty uncomfortable doing it when I'm asked, but I will not critique anybody's work unless they come to me and say, hey, Aaron, what do you think of this? And then it's got to be, well, when you ask me what I think of it, are you just, do I think it's cool or not? Or are you asking me to give you my opinion on, I don't do that. Yeah. I mean, I have a couple times in the past, and I've always regretted it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't mind fellow colleagues criticizing my work, but don't let it already be going to print. There's times where shoot, like you, it was just like you showed that piece, and I was like, oh, it's awesome. But then I saw that thing. I said, hey, you might want to fix this. And you did, and you liked it better. This is before it went to print.
Right, where you can do something about it.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's just not helpful,
Oh. And I think a lot of the, if you want to, quote unquote mistakes we make are, it's just, it's a style, it's the way you see things, it's stylistically. And, sometimes there's egregious things you do and you don't notice, and then someone does, and you're like, oh crap, I can't believe I didn't catch that. But a lot of times it's just, oh, I would have done this, or I would have done that. And I go, yeah, you would have done it, but you didn't do it. I did. So, you do it the way you want to do it, and I'll do it the way I want to do it, and, let it stand. But,
this person, Lodine74, is asking, has David ever done any non-humanoid creatures on Graybeards? Just thinking. I'm not sure I've seen an animal from him or a T-Rex in the background. Made me, a T-Rex in the background made me think of it. I think I did one or two, but
that's a good question.
I'm saving all of that type of stuff for this story, so I could, flex. Doing it on the spot, I'm not as fluid as Aaron is. Aaron loves dinosaurs. He loves all of that type of stuff. I have a passing, appreciation for it.
That is kind of the thing, right? I mean, it's, we all have, stuff we like for whatever reason. We sort of lean into that.
Yeah.
And you're more of a character guy.
Yeah.
And which is, was served you really well working at Warner Brothers as a character designer or doing a product art or things like that.
Mm-hmm. And I believe I did some kind of lizard creatures, even working at consumer products. So we're made to draw everything.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to at some point. You have to draw everything, but when you have your choice, you're going to draw what you like.
Exactly. Excuse me.
Sure.
I think I have. Hold on. I could show something. Yeah, it's like I said, it's not on the front of my mind, but I can draw them. I think Aaron is way better at it because that's where his passion is at.
Which is very strange thing to be, obsessed with monsters.
I don't think so. Someone has to do it.
Well, to me, it's always, you don't have to follow rules a lot of the times when you're doing monsters, right?
Yeah.
When you're doing anatomy and stuff like that, you do have to follow rules.
I mean, when it comes to like T-Rexes and pterodactyls and all that stuff, there is certain rules, and you lean closer to the truth of them. I sent you something in your messages, not Graybeards, but your private message on
All right. Let's see. Give me a second here to dig this up. There's a picture of you sitting next to Travis.
No, it's in your messages.
I know, but it just came up, and it's like, like you're drawing Captain America, and he's like got some Wonder Woman robes or something. I can't really tell what it is.
Yeah, it's Wonder Woman, and it was very intimidating.
Mm. Yeah, I hated sitting next to Travis. And he'd always be looking over, trying to see what I was drawing. And I was like trying to hide it from him because I was like, yeah, you don't need to. I don't need to embarrass myself. All right, here we go. You want a David Williams monster or a dinosaur? There you go. Boom, right there.
Bam.
Justice League of America, Dawn of Time. Ooh, that'd have been a fun one to work on. What were they like in the? Did you do the insides or just the cover?
No, just the cover.
So they're probably like in the Savage Land or something or something akin to that.
Yeah. I think after I finished it, I sent it to Arthur Adams. I was like, "Hey, what did you think?" I did.
And he goes, "Well, you should have fixed that hand." You're like,
yeah. So there you go.
There it is. There's proof in the pudding, folks, that David has drawn a dinosaur before. I was like, even from like, really young, like preschool, I was just, and most kids are, fascinated with dinosaurs and stuff. And they either grow out of it or they turn into an immature adult like me. And
yeah. But the thing about the difference between drawing a dinosaur and what Aaron is currently doing when he does dragons or anything like that. Dragons, you got to make up stuff and
Yeah.
what looks cool, and that is definitely not in my wheelhouse. So it's a lot of exploration.
Yeah, but it's like guys that draw cars really well and stuff. And they can just sit there and draw a freaking awesome car. And it kind of pisses me off, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm just not into that. The technical stuff, more organic, and so it's just there's like who's the guy that oh my gosh, he did the Zorro book and who?
Toth.
No. Younger. The guy. He's a contemporary of ours.
Oh.
Did the what?
Yeah.
Batman and Harley Quinn thing.
Yeah. I can't remember his name right now. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So he's got like 3. Anyway, he does like really cool cars and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, he does. His artwork's cool. Period. But
Gordon Murphy.
John Gordon Murphy. Yeah. He does like these really cool, like cars and machinery and things like that. And Golden does great cars and machinery that's like accurate, but at the same time has life to it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, Toth originally wanted to be a car designer and ended up settling for comics. And the thing that Hot Wheels book that he did was awesome.
Yeah, if you like cars.
Yeah. But I like those cars enough, but I like Toth. So
yeah.
But the fact that he has a desire towards that is crazy. It's like, yeah, I want to draw this car, and he's gonna have these kind of wheels, and it's gonna have this. I mean, they just know cars.
Yeah.
And they could just draw them.
I think we're all like sort of naturally drawn to certain things, and it wasn't by accident that, because I mean, you saw Frazetta too. You saw the same guys I saw, but you gravitated towards other guys, and I gravitated towards other guys just because of whatever our natural inclinations are.
Yeah.
And I was never big. I mean, I like cars. I like old cars. Vintage cars I think are cool, but at the same time, it's like I'm just not. I was a little bit of a car guy when I was 16. And you get your first car and you're driving around, and
yeah.
But
I like cars too, but I have no desire to draw them.
Yeah. Well, to me, I guess that's my biggest problem is I don't like structure. Like even cooking, I do not follow recipes because I don't like to stop and look. I just want to go. And that's kind of how I draw. Now sometimes I've got to pull out reference for dinosaurs if I haven't been drawing them in a while. I mean, there was a time where I could just draw a perfect, Jurassic Park type T-Rex right out of my head without looking at anything. And but I haven't done that in so long until now I'm getting into this book. I have to sort of check some reference and make sure, because in my opinion, and people would disagree obviously depending on what you like, but I thought the dinosaur designs for Jurassic Park were the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That old ones that like Wally Wood and Frazetta used to do, where they're like kind of these egg-headed dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That never really did it for me.
I think the best dinosaurs I've ever seen, just in general, were on Land of the Lost.
Dude, it's been so long since I've watched that. I have to go back and look.
They're terrible.
Oh, okay. Right over my head.
You could tell they were puppets, like hand puppets, and some were like claymation. It was like, oh.
Well, the thing is, I always liked claymation, even if it was bad, just because it was like stop motion and it was kind of cool. And sure. I mean, stop motion is not cool other than from a vintage standpoint. But from an
Well, I think the stop motion now that they do, like some of these guys are amazing.
yeah, that's true.
That's why I was just like, stop trying to do live action superhero movies. Do it like this, and
Yeah.
you can have it actually look like the artists that you're trying to achieve. Like if you want to do a Ditko Spider-Man, you could literally make it look like Ditko's art, but in 3D.
Yeah.
And do stop motion.
Yeah, that's why I like the Aardman guys that do, Wallace and Gromit, and I have such a great Shaun the Sheep. I have such a great appreciation for that. I mean, I know they're doing a lot of it digitally now, but they used to be hand done. Will Vinton used to do that stuff, and it was like,
yeah.
I really appreciate the art form and the work that goes into it.
Sure.
And,
I mean, I'm less inclined to, or I like claymation, but not as much as someone making a puppet and they're making the clothing and they're doing all that.
Oh yeah, the stop motion. I mean, the pure,
yeah, and you know,
for Christmas,
there's some rigging underneath it, and they,
yeah.
There's this, I think, is Miss Tutti Frutti or something like that. There's like this stop motion of this woman on this train, and someone was following her or stalking her. They did something crazy where they digitally put like a real person's eyes on the puppet, and it blinked and did all this kind of stuff. It was freaky. If I was a kid, I'd be freaked out, but as an adult, I just couldn't take my eyes away from it. I said, I should not like this, but I like it. It's so weird. And they're doing so many creative things now where they don't have to fully do the entire background. They'll build sets for this thing, but they're marrying digital with the thing, and it forces the digital people to deal with exact lighting, because the puppet is creating actual shadows, so they have to follow that, so it feels even more real. You're like, wow. This is cool.
I do. The guys that was it over at Nike, the son of the guy that owns Nike, bought Will Vinton Studios. Well, actually, the Nike guy bought Phil Knight bought. I'm sure paid for it, but anyway, his son was running it. And they turned it into, what is it, Leica or Latka Studios or whatever.
Oh yeah, Leica.
Mm-hmm. And all of that is kind of like what you're talking about, stop motion puppetry.
Yeah.
And it's the guy has a really, I mean, everything he does is really sort of odd and creepy, but it's so cool at the same time. It's like,
yep. I mean, I don't think Hollywood hasn't give them enough to really sink their teeth into. And they actually should. It probably even cost them less to do it, and they could probably tell a little bit better story because it's pure creatives around it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't think they'll have the courage to do that with a major franchise.
No. I think they look, and it is kind of a niche audience for that kind of stuff because it is kind of, in this day and age, considered old-fashioned.
Yeah.
But I have a great appreciation for that stuff. I really do. And it could be just because I'm an old dude, and it was the thing when we were growing up. That's what we had. We didn't have CG stuff or CGI stuff or anything like that. It was just, it was stop motion or nothing. And so we had an appreciation for it, and it's, like I said, it got really, really good. They developed cameras and stuff that, could better handle the stop motion. And you remember that movie Dragon Slayer that Disney did like years ago, like in the early 80s?
Yeah.
That dragon is so freaking awesome in that movie. And that was like, so when they put money into it, they could do it.
Oh, sure.
But it was such an expensive process, but that's still, God, I love that movie. I just watched it again not too long ago. And just, well, I should say, I sped up to the dragon part.
That's funny.
Well, I saw that it's one thing about having all these streaming services is, at least that we have, is that one of them always has like some really interesting documentary on, like there was that series on Industrial Light and Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Just fascinating. These guys that were doing this and they didn't know what they were doing and they had to figure out all this stuff, to make it work. And then I saw one, like I said, on the making of the Dragon Slayer movie and how they did the dragon. And it's just, God. Now it's all like in the computer, man. It's just like, there's something to be said for, organic stuff that's, still being created by hand.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfortunate that, this generation doesn't even get that. A lot of them. I hope there's a resurgence in it, so we don't completely lose it.
Yeah.
I'm worried that we're going to. Craftsmanship. That's what we're talking about.
What was that in Back to the Future where the kids were playing the game? Or what's his name? Marty came in and played the shooting game. He's like, you got to use your hands. Oh, that's old. That's where we're headed to.
I know. Now, I've told the story like probably a half dozen times about, Bill Stout working on the those video arcades, these elaborate video arcades through DreamWorks that they were going to open up in the 90s. And they just fell out of favor so quickly. They became passé before they could even design more than one of them. Mm-hmm. And it just goes to show you how quickly, because of technology, how quickly things change.
Yeah. That is true.
And if they had come out, if they'd done it like in the early 80s instead of the early 90s, it probably would have been this humongous success. Those are still the only video games I'll play is the like Pac-Man and stuff.
Over at Warner Brothers, we installed Miss Pac-Man on our computers, and we would play either at lunch or after work,
or during work.
No, we couldn't do that. And me and Jerome were competing, who could get the high score and who could. We'd play on either one's computer, at the same time playing doubles and stuff like that, and. It's like if you got high score on my computer, it's just like it's a total loss, and it was like, okay, yeah, that's my computer, that kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
Nerf basketball the same, but I was the best at Miss Pac-Man. Like I would destroy him. And there's this one time where, everybody's leaving, I'm leaving. But for some reason, I had to come back to work to get something or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm like, and I saw Jerome. I thought I saw Jerome leave. He was leaving with us. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I came back. He's there playing,
trying to beat the score.
Yeah, and so because I had the high score on his computer, and so he wanted to erase it so he could show it to me the next day. But when I come in, he has his back to me. Because the way the computer was facing.
Yeah.
But he was so intent in the game, he didn't hear me come in. So I'm standing behind him for literally minutes, and he doesn't know I'm there. and I'm like 2 feet away from him, and he could, usually you could feel somebody in the room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
He couldn't feel nothing. He was locked. And then I saw he was coming close to where my high score was. And in my head, I said, oh, not on my watch. So I backed out of the cubicle as quiet as I could. He still didn't know. Mm-hmm. I went all the way around this wall that broke the artists from the people who did like lettering or cleanup or all that kind of stuff. So I walked around and I went the opposite side to his cubicle. And all the wiring was exposed in the other cubicle to Jerome's computer, right? And so right when I knew he was about, 10,000 points away or something like that, whatever, I got to his computer and I unconnected his keyboard, right? So I'm kneeling down. I'm underneath the desk in the next cubicle. He should be able to see me, and I unplug and I just hear, wow, and he had extra men, and I was just like, oh, shoot. And I thought he was going to notice me, but he's so intent. All he did was he kneels down, grabs it. I'm right there. He doesn't notice me, plugs it back in and gets back to his game. He's like, what the heck is going on? I can hear him getting frustrated. I pull it out again when he's getting, I was just like, and I get it down to his last man, and he's like, he had enough space before the ghost monsters were going to come and get him. Mm-hmm. I pull it out again, and he's getting pissed. He's all, what the, and he doesn't curse. He's just, and he goes down this next time, and I'm there frozen with my eyes peeled and this smile like he's going to see me, and he sees me. I saw his ghost leave his body. And he was all, what the heck, man? And then you hear his last man die and stuff like that. And I go around, I was like, oh man, you didn't get my high score.
Oh my God. Oh, that's so funny.
Those good times.
Oh. All right. Let's see where we're at here. We got 150. So I'm going to take a moment here, and as we're working on this stuff, to bring up the old campaign. All right. Where are we at here? $25,045, 307 backers. What David and I are working on is stuff to, I'm actually working on a page that's going to be in this book, but David is working on a kind of I guess we'd call it a promo piece for Dan's story. But
I'm lollygagging. Don't put
is that what you're doing? Okay. So what do we have here? What we're doing is a thing called Barbaric Adventures #1. It's a 64-page square-bound magazine format that's 8.5 by 11, black and white with tonal rendering, which you can see me working on right now. Is adding Inkwash to the black and white artwork to kind of give it some more depth. And so what this is a kind of a throwback to the 1970s black and white magazines like Savage Tales. And we have, I'm working on it obviously with my, the debut of my new title, Primal Zone, which is the story of a reluctant hero cast into an interdimensional world of dinosaurs and cavemen. David of course, is introduces us to the story of a young medieval knight who battles a horde of demons in a quest to become a true warrior. And finally, Dan Lawless, who's not here today, but will be on Wednesday for Graybeards. He takes us to a futuristic Mars where high-tech society has fallen into savage chaos, and one man must lead a rebellion against the powers that have seized control of the world. Gary Martin contributes the inside front cover pinup. Those of you who remember the good old days of even Creepy and Eerie magazine, Savage Tales, Savage Sword, there was always a really cool pinup on the inside of the front cover. Gary will be providing that. I'm also going to include an 8-page Primal Zone story that was drawn back in 1997 when I first came up with the concept. So we're going to see the original story that's never been published, and we're also going to get a preview story of a character called Freya. She is the Ice Princess, or the Princess of the Ice Kingdom, and she's a Yeti hunter. And so this thing is jam-packed full, 64 pages of story with just, there's like 2 pages that are, the title page and the copyright page. And then I think there's going to be 1 page that sort of compares the 2 Primal Zone stories, the old one and the new one, and everything else is story. So this is jam-packed. You have 4 cover options. This is cover A. This is a painting by me, an acrylic painting on canvas. This is David's painting for featuring his character. This is cover B option. Cover C, Dan Lawless doing a digital painting of his story. And then finally, the great Joe Jusko contributed a cover. This is a painted cover, of course, and featuring Freya the Ice Princess. So these are the 4 cover options you have. If you look over to your right, you'll see the 4-pack plus, which gives you 1 of each cover. So you get all 4 covers plus the 8.5 by 11, 32-page signed sketchbook, Barbaric sketchbook. That's a $120 value. You get it for $105, so that's really a good deal. Here's some of the artwork. As you can see, it's ink washed like I'm doing again on this particular splash page. And hey, there's another splash page with a dinosaur. That's all ink washed. And so that gives you an idea of what the art's, a really good idea what the art's going to look like in my story. Here's a page from Dan Lawless's story. And it even has lettering on it, so you can actually read it. And we'll probably very shortly, we're going to get some of David's up here, as well as probably another page from Dan up on the old campaign. If you go with the big Barbaric box, which is basically you get everything in the campaign is included, you get 2 items that you can't get as add-ons or you can't get anywhere else, and that's this 4-print portfolio in an illustrated envelope. This is signed by me. All the artwork's by me. And then the 5th Barbaric Adventures cover, which will be another painted cover by me. This is the color rough for it. So it kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. And that's only available. Those 2 items are only available when you buy the big Barbaric box. We have stretch goals of 40, 60, 80,000. We'll see if we get there on this, but those are trading cards. Here's the cover to the sketchbook. Again, this is signed by me. It's all my, not just stuff that I did for this particular campaign, but other fantasy or barbaric type stuff from my sketchbook will be in this. Very cool. And then this color print by me of Freya the Ice Princess, a Yeti hunter print that we call Snow Hunt. You can get the Barbaric Adventures laser etched logo into a shot glass. So this is number 5 out of a series of 6 shot glasses. So if you've been collecting the previous 4, you'll definitely want to get this. We have a bunch of original art for sale. A lot of it's already sold, so I probably should take this down and then put up new stuff that hasn't sold yet or that we have to offer. But this is all the original art for sale. If you keep scrolling all the way down, you'll see that this is where you can order the rewards. There's the 4-pack plus that we talked about. There's the shot glass. Here's the 4 covers. You can choose any one of those. If you want to get a combo pack, you can get Barbaric Adventures #1 plus the sketchbook for a $5 savings. Or you can get the Barbaric Adventures #1 plus the sketchbook plus the Snow Hunt print for a $5 savings there. Here's the big savings. Along with the 4-pack plus is the big Barbaric box. You get all 4 covers. You get the shot glass. You get the sketchbook. You get the snow hunt print. Plus, you get the extra 5th cover and the portfolio of 4 prints signed. It's a $210 value. You get it for $185. So you're essentially getting that 5th cover for free. So that's a good deal there. You keep scrolling down, you'll see all the original art that's been posted and sold. And then there's a few that are still left available. Keep scrolling and you'll run into your add-ons. So you could basically, if you don't see a combo package because I can't offer every single possible combination on the campaign. So what you can do is, say you want Jusko's cover, but you want the sketchbook. Well, then you can put it together yourself buffet style. Or if you want David's cover, but you want that snow hunt limited print, you can add that on. You can also go back and get Wraith of God 1, 2, and 3 if you missed out on any of those. Saved from the trash. One of my better sketchbooks over the years. Still have some copies of that available. Kit Carter, soft cover graphic novel. Garbage Man trade paperback. Power Cube trade paperback. Again, all the covers, individual covers. If you wanted to get my cover, but you just wanted to get mine and Jusko's, then that's how you do it, is you'd order mine and then you'd add Jusko's on, or vice versa. And you can also get the Kit Carter sketchbook from the Kit Carter campaign. I still have some of those available. So you just scroll straight down and it'll take you right through the process. So we appreciate you guys supporting this campaign. Spread the word as much as you can. We greatly appreciate that as well, because we can't reach everybody. We need you guys' help, and we greatly appreciate it. So you'll find a link in the description of this video, take you right to the campaign, or you can see it pinned at the top of the chat. Or if you're watching on X right now, you can go over to my homepage on X and you'll find a link there pinned at the top of my page. Or you can just run over to Indiegogo, type in Barbaric Adventures or Aaron Lopresti, and it will take you to the campaign. Thank you very much for your attention. And let's keep this campaign moving. Oh, by the way, because we hit 300 backers, we're going to raffle off a piece of Conan art that I have, a sketch that I drew, pretty nice one. And some lucky backer will get that for free. And we'll determine that on Graybeards on Wednesday. Graybeards Studios, our draw stream with Dan Lawless and Gary Martin, every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Pacific time, 5 o'clock Eastern. And so we'll be raffling that off. When we get to 400 backers, I will do the same thing with a new piece of art. So that's what we're going to do every time we hit double zeros. We're going to raffle off some artwork. So there you go.
Hey, Aaron. Aaron.
Matthew Muma says, I upgraded to the big barbaric box last night. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew, appreciate it.
Aaron.
Maybe you should draw Popeye again.
Hey, Aaron.
Yeah. David's struggling. Struggling he is today, but that's okay. It's okay. I'm still doing my thing here, so.
Yo, Aaron.
Yeah. What? I didn't know you drew that much today, or was that leftovers from previous?
That's my life.
Did you eat all your hot dogs, by the way?
No, I gave some to my dogs.
You gave some to who?
My dogs.
Okay, well, when they bark those up, you let me know about that.
Yeah, they were begging. What is hot dogs and bread?
Well, I don't know, man. My dog has a really sensitive stomach, and if you give him anything kind of out of the pale, he could come back up. Or you get diarrhea, which is worse.
Yeah, that is true. But okay. I didn't, put no mustard on it, or it was just plain.
All right. I guess if it's good enough for us, it's good enough for your dogs.
They just don't eat chocolate or onions. Yeah.
You know what you can't feed a dog?
I just told you.
Well, you can't. Yeah, onions, garlic, but avocado.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh! You want to clean up green puke? That's the quickest way to do it. And it's funny because my vet, I told my vet about this. I go, oh no, don't feed him that. You're not supposed to feed him grapes either
Yeah,
because
that too. Yeah, can't do
grape
great.
skins are toxic or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm watching something on YouTube, and one of those ads came up, and I knew it was AI because they had that dog guy, Caesar or whatever his name is,
Yeah.
telling you the best 8 foods to feed your dog, and one of them was avocados. And I'm like, holy crap, that is not true. And so I figured somebody must have AI'd him on there, and
I never felt inclined to give my dogs any kind of food like that anyway. You know what I mean? And plus, how much avocados cost? I'm like,
I feed my dog that.
You ain't getting that.
Well, what happened was with me was our first dog, which we had was a wiener dog, and like any dogs, when you're cooking in the kitchen or whatever, you're inevitably going to drop something on the floor, and they're right there to get it. And I was chopping up avocados, and a piece fell on the ground, and he ate it instantly, or she ate it instantly. And so then I had, then she was begging at the table. So I gave her another slice of avocado, and then within 5 to 10 minutes, it comes ralphing it up, and I was like, "Oh." So,
my thing that I have to watch is that my eldest dog goes out and he eats like grass or weeds or something like that,
mm-hmm.
and then he'll immediately act sickly or doesn't want to eat because he's a trash compactor. Like when he's feeling good, he'll eat all day if you gave him something. But after he goes and nibbles on some grass or weeds, he's jacked up. And then the food from earlier it's coming up. It's just a matter of time. Remember that time? I think I was talking to you or
yep.
Kevin, I had to get off the bed.
Yeah, barfing on your bed or something.
Yeah, I was like, nah, I gotta get you out of
here. We have like out in our backyard, we have morning glories that grow up, which are these, viney, and they have purple flowers, really pretty. And our dog, the one I have now, when he was a puppy, would go out and eat these things, right? And our vet said, hey, that's like doggy LSD. They said, don't let your dog eat.
Really? Wow.
And so he would like come in and be kind of, wobbly or whatever. So he was out there getting high, eating morning glories. And,
that's crazy.
He had to put the bottom on that.
Was a dog named Snoop?
Yeah, it was Snoop Dogg. Yeah, exactly. But who would have thought morning glories or doggy LSD? So he was tripping, man.
Whew.
Well, there he is now. Let his voice be heard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. It's taken longer. Well, this is actually a fairly complex page. So,
like, what are you talking about? You're putting a lot into this thing.
Well, this is honestly, to me, this is more than a comic book project. It's really sort of a it's more of like an art project to me. It's like this is stuff I've always wanted to do, and I've never got the opportunity to do it because it's not something other than DC's Warlord, or maybe I did one fill-in issue of Kazar, but it's I didn't do it like this, and so this is kind of like, to me, full circle, discovering Frazetta at 11 or 12 years old, and then finally getting to do something like that, that you can kind of be proud of and say, yeah, I gave it everything I had. And a little tribute to Frank.
Do you have any shows that you're going to be doing anytime soon?
I feel like I should be getting out. I'm not. I can't do Kings tonight for obvious reasons that I discussed earlier.
Yeah.
About my getting ready for my procedure tomorrow.
Just call it a date.
A date? Yeah, it's not the kind of date I want to go on, though. You know what I'm saying? It's more like a prison film gone wrong. But I got the professionals on Tuesday, I think. My procedure I'm doing like first thing in the morning, so I should be done pretty early in the day, and then I'll be scarfing, and then of course graveyard's on Wednesday. Then probably we'll stream again either on Thursday or Friday with some more of stuff like this. So I need to get on. I talked to Star Wars girl getting on there, and she's like, "Well, you want to come on my regular show, or do you want to come on the Jack show?" And I'm like, "You don't know that." She goes, "The Jack show is much cleaner these days," and I'm like, "I don't really think it is."
That's funny.
So yeah, I got to go on with Star Wars girl there pretty soon, and I wanted to get on. I was Thinking Critical with Wes. I haven't been on his show in a long time. I'm supposed to go on with Kyle Curtis, but I haven't heard anything back from them. So we're on Katie Dids. So yeah, there's some stuff I'm trying to get lined up, kind of spread the word. Ooh, that's a little too dark. So I got to hit it. I got to hit it with some water, and I got to hit it fast.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, these pants are blue anyway, so they would be darker anyway.
Yeah. Now, that character in the immediate foreground, are you going to go like gray all over him or no?
This dude?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to leave him where he is right now, and I'm going to see what this looks like when I've got everything else done, and see if I want to darken him up or just leave it with that kind of that highlight there on his back. What I tend to do is I lay down some ink, and then I keep laying more and more over the top and more over the top kind of thing. And because I'm a coward. I don't like to go like super dark, super quick. And I like to slowly build up to it, so I feel like I'm in more control of what's going on.
Yeah.
Kind of like I do watercolors. I'm really envious of these guys that just go in there and just, they just start throwing color down, and it looks like a mess, but then within 10 minutes, it's like this genius thing, and you're like, I'm sitting here doing all this little soft noodling because I'm a coward. But I guess you get brave the more you get a handle on what you're doing.
Yeah.
I tend to be a little bit more brave when I'm doing acrylic painting because I know I can paint over it if I screw it up.
Yeah.
Which I did plenty of that on that the cover painting I did.
Here was my first scribble of that cover. Remember what I was telling you had?
Yeah, let me blow you up here. There we go. Oh yeah, so you had more of a.
It was going to just show you all the things, but I was just like, that doesn't quite work.
Yeah, it was more of a literal interpretation of.
Yeah.
As opposed to a. Well, I like what you did. I really like that sort of impressionistic approach to the demons and stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was okay.
So there you go. There's my hero that David drew last week. That turned out really well.
Yeah. It's all right.
It's all right.
I think the rough was better. You ever do that? Like,
yes.
You're more happy with the rough? I'm like, man, the rough.
All the time. because you do the rough in your sketchbook or on a, you know, like you did there, and you're like, man, that looks really cool. I need to turn that into something. And then so you light table it, and you try to, and it's just not the same.
You just take the life out of it by overly tightening it.
Yep. I think that's why people, I mean, it's probably overstating the obvious, but I think that's why people really like sketchbooks and stuff, or sketchbook art, because they get to see this stuff as a,
Yeah, the first impressions.
yeah, it's fresher, it's alive.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a piece from Mark Schultz, and I bought the rough, and he does like really sort of detailed roughs. Like he does like inked and ink wash kind of roughs.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes in and does a finished piece. And he was like, man, he goes, I really like the rough on this way better. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm buying it. Well, it was cheaper too, but because it had more energy.
Sure.
You know, and although everything he does, you know, is like, you know, it's just beautifully rendered, and you know, he's just a tremendous inker.
Yeah.
And along with being a tremendous artist, but I mean, it's like his inks are incredible. They're the biggest part of the drawing, you know, because he goes in and draws with his ink, and but yeah, so this rough just had, it was a Conan, small little Conan piece, and it was just, you know, you really had a good sense of movement and energy to it. And although the finished piece was nice, it felt like a refined version of it.
Yeah.
And because it was, you know, an energy piece with, you know, this guy attacking Conan and Conan getting ready to, you know, mix it up with him, that energy was kind of a little bit lost in the
Mm-hmm.
piece. But the one that I got was really, really nice.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it happens all the time. We tend to tighten up and overwork stuff, and then it just doesn't have that same.
Yeah.
I mean, the line work you look at and go, yeah, it's really polished and looks great, but the overall artwork feels, you know, stiff. So,
Yeah, like Adam Hughes, his sketchbooks are so good when you just see the prelims before it gets, you know, to. He's a great inker too, but I still like his roughs and his pencils. And Arthur Adams, I love his roughs. His roughs are more like animated, you know, prelims. I tried to get him into animation. I tried to get him over at Warner Brothers, and trying to get those guys, hey, get Arthur over here, and, you know, pay him whatever he wants. He can work remotely and blah, blah, blah. And over at Sony, when they did The Big Guy and Rusty, they wanted to get Arthur Adams right next. And everybody in there was like, yeah, because the way he did like his roughs before he went to, you know, inking and putting all the details and tightening it up too much. His layouts were so good, you know, and just his figure work was so simplified and fun to look at.
Was he just making too much money in comics to even consider doing
that? Oh,
that?
yeah, they were just throwing money. I mean, it got to a point to where when he was doing pinup stuff just for regular Joes, Marvel was coming to him and say, hey, can we buy that for a cover? Not the original, but can we use it for a cover? So he's getting paid again on top of whatever he sold the. You know, it's like almost the reverse.
Yeah. It's like you draw what you want, and then Marvel goes, hey, can we use that?
You're like, oh, sure. Exactly. And then his prices started getting insane, you know, and like that Avengers cover that he did, you know, that I think Tim Townsend owned it or still owns it or whatever, where it had like all the Avengers that ever were Avengers.
Yeah.
He sold that for a crazy grip, and he got what he asked for. So then he knew, oh, okay, I'll put more and more stuff in to my covers. You know what I mean?
Well, it's crazy how much, it's almost George Perez like some of his, except he's way better than Perez. Sorry, you guys in the chat, but
I mean, if you're making more just doing a few big old commissions, then, 5 of your best or favorite teachers out there are making, you know what I mean? What's the impetus to do pages?
Well, that's really true. It's like, and that's kind of the thing that everybody sort of aspires to artistically, or, the pros in the industry, is like to be a cover artist, because you're just dealing with single illustrations all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you can really sort of focus in on that single illustration and making it as cool as you can.
Yeah.
But of course, the fans and the readers, they want these great artists to work on the inside of the books, but they ain't going to do that. That's work. I mean, doing interiors is hard work, not a physical standpoint, but I mean, it can be just from the hours you put in. But
I mean, I didn't do nearly as much interior stuff as you. And once I got a cover gig and then another cover gig, and it became a thing that people thought I was a cover guy, and other companies saw that I was a cover guy, I got out. I was like, whew, yeah, give me more covers.
And then, well, that's the thing. They do that. And when I say they, I mean like the editorial and people, they don't even make a conscious decision to say, you know what, this guy's really good, we should give him more covers. They just say, oh, so-and-so, he's been doing covers. So they just start giving guys covers, and then they become cover artists, and the rest of us are toiling away doing these, doing the interior pages, and somebody's doing your cover for you, and you're like, I want to do my own cover, And
it's funny because I started doing covers for Marvel first. They would put me on all ages stuff, and they kept on telling me to not put, not be who I wanted to be on those, like dumb it down for kids and stuff. And I just I give them very little of that, you know what I mean? But I had to break out of that, and just where they just couldn't refuse it. I was just like, okay. And then that spread out to doing other covers. And, I don't want to, kids don't like, I mean, they like the cartoony thing, but they like what the older kids like. They don't want to be talked down to.
Right. I agree. I never understood this whole idea of making a kid's line. Just make your books accessible to younger readers as well as older readers. Exactly. And it's just be careful with your content, and how you, and not even necessarily your content, but how you visually portray it. It's like there was a code, back in the 30s and 40s for film, and even into the 50s before, the studio system broke in the 60s. But, they were doing adult films. They did them so that all the sex or the gratuitous violence was kind of behind closed doors. And you became a more effective filmmaker by being able to portray stuff without really showing everything.
Yeah.
And you can do the same thing with comics and still have mature themes and all that kind of stuff without being gratuitous. And so you don't have to have little kids comics and then, graduate them into older comics, because I don't know that it ever worked.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just, they would go, these are stupid and I'm not reading them. And then they lost them. Because when we were kids, they didn't have that. They were all the same because they had the comics code, so it sort of controlled things a little bit. But there was mature theme stuff going on in these books, personal relationship stuff and things like that we read as kids, and didn't turn me into a serial killer. So I just think I think comics got too adult too quickly.
Yeah.
And so then it was like, okay, well, our readership is now, 30 years old plus, so we have to make these comics, R-rated instead of keeping it PG.
But they sold themselves a lie, thinking that the readers needed profanity or nudity or gratuitous violence, when we appreciated, even as adults, the comics that we grew up on.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get all ages books. We got the books that the older kids liked.
Yep.
You know? So they sold themselves and others on a lie.
I think you're right on that, actually. I mean, if you want to do like mature books or whatever you want to call them, that's where you make a separate line for that.
Yeah.
Right. You don't make all your books mature readers and then do a doofy line for kids. You make all your books and that way, and then you do your, if you want to do like Black Label crap or whatever and show Batman's dick, I guess you can do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure why anybody wanted to see that to begin with.
Henry Yanglis says, "Bro, you guys had underground comics. Come on, we're not negating that those existed. We're talking about the mainstream.
Yeah,
Marvel and DC.
Right. Everybody knew that underground comics were, dirty comics, or I mean, we didn't call them mature. They were just, they were just kind of smut comics, right?
Yeah.
And you could go read it if that's what you wanted to read. But the stuff that was on the newsstand was.
In the comics today, they want to sell everybody on the idea that all characters are playing in the gray and they're not absolutes anymore. They got rid of all of that kind of stuff. Here's absolute good and here's absolute evil.
Right.
Where it was generally kind of played in that arena. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's another lie that they keep telling, and they're trying to condition people to live in the gray and make it like saying, oh, it's like our world. I don't think so. I see things in a lot of absolutes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There are things that are great to me because I don't have enough information, but it doesn't mean I'll accept, whatever thing is being sold to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's generally not. We like to say that as society. Oh, there's a lot of gray areas. Well, there generally really isn't.
Yeah.
If you're morally centered, you can pretty much see what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing, mm-hmm. and the benefits of or the problems that go with it. And everybody wants to make heroes out of crummy people now, and it's like, well, why don't we go back to making heroes out of idealized great people that we all would aspire to be?
Yeah.
Or should aspire to be anyway.
I mean, those characters that we like, the Superman, Batman, whomever, of course they have their struggles because they're mortal and all that kind of stuff. But you don't want to linger in that. It shows that they have the moral fortitude to walk past that or mm-hmm. get up from that and do the right thing. And so many people right now are trying to use that as an excuse and use those characters as a mirror to themselves. That's why a lot of these stories are not good out there, because they rather tell the story of, if I was Batman. You're not supposed to tell a story that way. This is what Batman is and this is what he does. Now, what are you going to do to get him out of this, thing? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Or how is he going to overcome this thing? You don't make him pick the wrong decision and he still comes out okay. Since they're putting that mirror of themselves as the character, it's almost like they're trying to say, besides me doing this bad thing, I'm still good enough. I still do. It's like, no. It's like they're trying to make an excuse for someone else that's going to hold them to account.
Yeah. So true. And that's what society's missing, is idealized heroes these days.
Yeah.
At least the concept of it.
Yeah.
There you go. That's our soapbox for today.
There you go.
All right. Well, I think we'll call this good.
Go large on yours. I want to see it closer.
All right. Here we go. This is what I've accomplished so far today.
Wow. That's real nice.
Thank you. See, I just think it gives it, I don't think it's really detracted from the line work. I think it just kind of gives it more depth, don't you think?
I do. Well, I never thought it would detract. I was just like, are you more afraid? Because it looks so good just even as the black and white. Just the terror of like, oh.
Well, it is that it's, you know, when I came out, and I just said this, you know, yesterday, I think this is the best comic page I've ever drawn. And I still believe that. So you're like, okay, if I'm saying that, do I really want to go in there and muck with it now? Or do you just want to walk away from it so that you can't screw it up? But I went in with the intention of doing this on this book of Inkwashing. And so I don't want to be a coward now and say, oh, I really like the black and white, so I don't want to mess with it. No, I want to try. The whole idea of doing this is doing something I haven't done yet. And so I think this is, it's a great exercise, but it's also a challenge. And, you know, so I'm not backing down from it. I'm going for it and come hell or high water. But it's really interesting. When I finished this page, it was really, I had this epiphany. It's like, I felt like I just figured something out, you know, and about drawing and, you know, maybe being more consistently better, or as I described it, as leveling up, right? You know, and it's weird, but to be this age and go and feel like, I think I've gotten to a point now where I can be consistently better than I've been. And so I just got this sort of boost of confidence when I kind of felt that. I was like, I think I just figured something out. And so we'll see if I can maintain it. But yeah, so I've thrown all fear to the wind.
There you go.
Anyway, so if there's anybody out there that hasn't backed Barbaric Adventures, please consider doing so. Yes, this is the kind of artwork you're going to get in it. I think the stories are dynamite as well, so it's not just going to be an art book. I think we have some really good stories to tell in this and some cool characters and situations. Like I said, mine is very much an Edgar Rice Burroughs type story. David's is probably closer to Robert E. Howard. And so I think that there's a variety within this kind of sword and sorcery, barbaric adventure stuff that we're doing. I just think this is, and maybe it's just me because I'm old, but I've really wanted to do this for a long time. And I think this is really, really freaking cool. And yeah, it's black and white, but it's really cool black and white. So I would encourage all you guys to go in and back this book if you haven't done so already, because I think when you see it start arriving at people's houses and they're posting it on X and you didn't back it, you're going to be going, dang, I wish I got that. So yep. You got 4 cover options. I'll do this real quickly. Mine, David's, Dan's, and then of course the great Joe Jusko contributed this cover. And so we have these 4 cover options for you. There's other things you can add on. Scroll down the campaign and check everything out. You'll find a link in the description of this video that'll take you right there to the campaign. It's pinned to the top of the chat. If you're on X watching, you can go to my page and you'll find it pinned to the top of my page on X, or you can run over to Indiegogo, type in my name or Barbaric Adventures, and get in on this book, you guys. It's going to be so freaking cool. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you guys supporting the campaign and continue to tweet it out and promote it. And we'll probably see you again later this week with another draw stream. So thank you guys. Appreciate it very much. We'll see you next time. And join us on Graybeards on Wednesday.